Harvick on track, and right now top 5 in this first practice. He has had incredible success at this track, but maybe not the finishes that he was hoping to end up with. Kevin Harvick's best finish at this track is first. He won one time. It was back in 2006. He has been a runner-up quite a few times at this track.
He gets himself in position, and this is such a difficult thing for a driver. You come here, you've got a good feel for the track, but you understand going into this, as we talk about Daytona and Talladega, we know it's 50-50, whether you might be in a wreck or not. Here you come knowing that it's kind of 50-50 as to whether the strategy is going to work in your favor or not. Are you going to have to come late for fuel, or have you played the right strategy? And unfortunately for Kevin Harvick and this team, they've been on the wrong side of the fuel issue and running out, leading races late.
And that's what makes this track so difficult, is not only handling and getting a fast race car, but DJ, pit strategy is huge because we'll have so many different ones. Normally talk about 1 or 2 strategies. We can have 4 or 5 strategies, and I think that pushes people into being very aggressive. And unfortunately, when that goes wrong, it costs you a lot of positions.
And Kevin Harvick's going to bring the 4 back into the garage. Let's go back into the garage with Jeff Burton and the guy who's at the top of the chart.
Hey guys, I caught up with Austin because he is on top of the chart. So, far pretty good?
Yeah, it was a pretty good first run for us there. We're in qualifying trim, and looked like the there's 3 or 4 cars right there in qualifying trim, and I thought it was going to be slow, but it was fast right there, so, which is good. We can kind of tune on it and get it better. There was a couple of things I was wanting to do a little better, so I think moving forward, we got a car we can compete with.
So let's clear this up. You didn't think it was going to be slow before you got in the car, right? You thought it felt slow, right?
Right, I thought it felt slow on the track. I felt like I overslowed to injury, picked up the gas too early, and maybe I need to just not go with what I usually think, and it'll be fast.
So why the decision to make only qualifying runs today? How do you guys make that decision?
Well, we kind of looked back at last year's practice, and tires meant a lot, and just wanted to focus this practice on qualifying. That's what all today is about, and qualifying. So we'll go tomorrow and go into race trim and see what we can do with our Olympic Dow Chevrolet here.
Thank you, bud. Dave, you got something?
Jeff, I always have something. The question is, do we have time for it? And apparently we do right now. The comments of Kyle Busch after his first run out there, pretty rough into turn 3 and getting looser and looser as the run went along. Now, in contrast to Austin Dillon, he is in race trim, so he's not going for that fast lap quite yet. And I want to go back to some comments Kyle made in the media center this morning, guys, in relation to Dale Jr.'s situation. Of course, a lot of questions about this subject. And Kyle said, one thing people don't realize is how rough it is in the race car week to week, even when you don't crash. He said, last year when I joined the season halfway through, I was pretty beat up by the time I got to Homestead. Now, I've run the first half of this year, I feel like I did last year when I got to Homestead. It's tough on these drivers, guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah, it really is.
Kyle has figured out how to win here. He actually was the one who was able to pass Kevin Harvick. It's been open last year. Last 3 races here, Kevin Harvick has been passed to win, but last year it was Kyle Busch. Got his lap back, and take a look at the move he made to get by Kevin Harvick.
That was incredible
that
he made, and just in the nick of time, because the caution was to come out right after he made that pass.
And was able to get back on the lead lap and turn that into a win. And that was part of the string of wins that Kyle Busch was on that started at Sonoma on his championship run in 2015. Kyle Busch definitely has figured out how to win. And what a great point that he brings up about how violent it is in these cars, even when you don't hit anything.
Yeah, and in particular for drivers like Dale Jr., who have had multiple concussions, they tell you that you're more susceptible to that happening then. And this isn't an easy ride. We show drivers that look like they're just sitting in there and everything's good, but most of these tracks are rough. You're doing everything you possibly can to make the car fast. That doesn't always include driver comfort, so you're getting beat around a lot.
Yeah, I think it's someone like Matt Kenseth, who has so many years in a race car. I was fortunate enough to be Jeff Gordon's crew chief, and it was towards the second half of his career. Not that Alan Gustafson had him the last few years, but in the middle there, he really fought that chronic back issue. And, when I would sit down and talk to him, I'm like, did you break your back or damage your back? And there was never a moment in time that he could pinpoint and say, this is when I injured my back. It was, I think, just to your point, DJ, years and years of not just crashes, but races. I mean, we used to run some of these ridiculous setups on the super speedways with these crazy shocks that were so rough that the drivers would have to get out after every run just to kind of stretch their leg. Like, it literally would just bang their bones. And I think over time, it is a violent sport sitting inside these race cars.
Yeah, and so many times we're looking at Matt Kenseth. Matt Kenseth also was another driver, and I hate to keep reiterating this about Kevin Harvick, but Matt Kenseth was another driver who was able to make a pass late in the race to take the lead away from Kevin Harvick. Well, Matt Kenseth went on to win in the fall race here at New Hampshire. So Joe Gibbs Racing, a lot of success at this racetrack, especially last year with Kyle Busch winning and then Matt Kenseth.
Yeah, you think about, this isn't considered a short track in the NASCAR world, but it is a short track. It drives that way, and every driver will tell you that. And you think about somebody that's outstanding on those type of tracks. Matt Kenseth comes to mind with that. And so you expect him to be in the mix. He's got a great car. Joe Gibbs Racing, I think their flat track program is really, really good. And that only enhances his opportunities and chances to win.
Matt Kenseth on a little different strategy than what we've seen out of Austin Dillon. Kenseth has completed 18 laps already. Guys like Austin Dillon making just a few laps at a time in qualifying setup already.